A group fight involving broomsticks near a flower shop. Just a bunch of people. I don't know what is with the group fights happening, but
they're playing Quidditch. They just don't know what that is yet. Exactly. People haven't caught on.
Several men and women are allegedly fighting and weaponizing broomsticks. That's what the headline says.
Yeah,
so,
it's just Quidditch, man.
It's Quidditch.
They're like throwing balls at each other and shit, and they're just like, all right, there it is.
That's so fucking funny. Imagine mistaking Quidditch for fighting.
You like drive past like a park and there's like people like doing it and they're like, oh my god. Like, could you imagine the police rolling up to a Quidditch match being like, hey, somebody said like, you guys were fighting? Yeah, and they're just like,
everyone on the ground right now, put your hands where I can see them. And they're like, it's like a bunch of like dudes with acne and like real skinny dudes with broomsticks. They're like, oh my god, what the fuck? What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 13.
Yeah, lucky number 13, baby.
Oh, shit. It's about to be a banger. We got a banger for you today. A lot of shit going on in the world. A lot of things to talk about. So, yeah, we've obviously, I think if you hear, by the time you're hearing this, we will have uploaded episode 11 and 12. Currently, they are sitting in, on the cloud, but
they're sitting in internet land, basically.
They're sitting in internet land, but if you're lucky, you'll get a triple whammy this week and have 3 fucking new episodes to listen to. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. But let's get right into the news, which is a thing that Keemstar says. And dude, do I have holy shit, fucking
this fucking guy, dude.
So my understanding of what Keemstar is that he was like, I didn't really I knew just in general he was like a shitty person and like reported drama alert and just like stirred up unnecessary drama on YouTube and just like took presented very biased views of YouTube / internet news. I didn't really go any deeper than that. I didn't really know anything more about him. I just knew that he was generally not well liked among the internet community. Yeah.
I think after just like a quick aside for that, but it's like, I remember it being like drama alert and all that stuff being like huge for like the better part of like 3 or 4 years. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. And like when that Tana Mongeau or Mongi, however the fuck you pronounce her name.
Mojo, I think she says it. It's weird.
Something, I don't know. Her and the like spat between iDubbbz and stuff. When that was going on, like Keem was huge. Like that was when like everything was going out. But all of his things were always like he never presents an argument. He never takes a side, which like I can respect, but it's also like all he's doing is just perpetuating like a shitty spat between 2 equally shitty people. But I'm like, hey, let's just take a deep breath, maybe do some analysis as to who may or may not be right or wrong and present an argument. But it's not even doing that. It's just like, hey, here's this thing, let me profit off of what they're doing. And that's his whole thing, is like he profits off of drama. Like, and it's like, and it's somebody else's shit too.
Yeah. It's nuts. Yeah. And
it's TMZ, but bad.
Yeah. Worse. Exactly.
But yeah. Okay. Fair.
So, exactly. That was up until like yesterday and today. That was my understanding of him, that he just kind of half-assed things just to, put content out, stir up drama, get clicks, monetize his shit, blah, 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 blah. And but yesterday I started looking more into it. And today, actually, H3 came out with a video about him, and it was 50 minutes long. And I watched the whole thing.
They are pretty well known for making incredibly long videos, but that's a lot.
It was a 50-minute long video, and it was
a lot of research and stuff. So I've always liked their videos. I'm not like a huge fan of their videos, just because like I don't enjoy the way that they have it set up or the way that they present it, which whatever. But I respect them and I respect what they're doing. So
yeah. Okay, exactly. Cool. We're on the same page. So Ethan posted a video today, 50 minutes long, and about Keemstar. And I was like, I was just on YouTube. I had 50 minutes to kill, apparently. And I was listening to it. I was doing other shit. I was listening to it. So this shit goes so much deeper than like I ever thought. And like, I can't after this video and like after, but like it's been happening and I didn't know. And hopefully a video like this kind of from a content creator with like a very big platform brings this kind of more to like a public eye, because I'm sure that, I mean, okay, so here's the facts that were presented. Keemstar reports on drama alert, blah 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 blah. That's his thing, blah blah blah. So the video started with him with Ethan from H3 saying that he basically accused him of, because there was some sort of lawsuit with H3 Productions a couple of years ago. Keem accused Ethan of this thing. So basically, there was a lawsuit with H3 a while ago, and in order to raise money for their legal fees and all this stuff, there was this game called Payday 2. I don't know if you ever played it or heard of it.
I loved Payday.
Yeah,
it's old too. Shit.
It's old. Yeah, it's old. So Payday 2 came out. There was the developer of it released a DLC for $5 called like the H3H3 expansion pack or whatever the fuck. And 100% of that money made from the DLC went to Ethan and Hila to pay for their legal fees, legal dues, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Against Keem?
No. Sorry. This is not related to Keem.
This is the lawsuit with fucking, what was that guy? It was like he was some like life guru or some shit like that, and they like made like a video about him, and he was just like he just threw a bunch of money at them to bleed them dry. I remember this now. Okay,
So this was like, I don't know, 4 years ago. I don't know, however long ago
it was a while ago.
Yeah. So and so they weren't popping like they are now and whatever. So like they didn't have the H3 podcast. They didn't have like half the shit they do now. So like that really like that hurt them bad financially. So they released this DLC pack, whatever, support the cause. And then recently Keemstar was alleging that Ethan and Hila had like committed some kind of fraud and committed some sort of whatever, and like didn't really use the money for the legal fees and whatever. And so like, whatever, it just kind of, so insinuating that he had like committed a felony essentially, and just like going off of no information. And so he's like, all right, this is really harmful. This is like, harmful shit to just spew with no facts backing it up, no whatever. Cause like you have a huge platform. You're accusing me of committing a felony currently.
Yeah, that's very Trumpian.
Yeah, exactly. So
interesting.
Whatever. In the video, Ethan is like, no. So, and like in the video, he literally calls the developer and he's like, this is, so you would know better than anyone that this is what it was for, blah, blah. So like, he's like, no, this is totally false. But he's like, so this is, that's just a tiny drop in the bucket of what's happening. Essentially, Keem is famous for doing shit like that, though, going off of no evidence or no whatever. Two years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, he accused this. So there was this case about this guy who he was like an older man who was like married in like Minecraft to like this underage girl, and like actually like met up with her in real life, and like was like there's pedophile charges against him, whatever. Dude went to jail. And then so Keem,
that's a whole story by itself. Damn.
Yeah, that's a whole story in and of itself. So like that's nuts. So that was the story that happened. But there's this Twitch streamer who is also old and slightly resembles this pedophile man, this older man.
Oh, God.
So Keemstar just didn't do any sort of like digging, didn't do any like anything. And he's just like, holy shit, this is the guy. This is the pedophile guy. Here's his Twitch channel. Like, this is the guy. He's streaming. He just got out of jail. What's he doing? And so all of his viewers went to this innocent older man who's just like streaming Minecraft and just streaming videos. And like, the dude's like, he got death threats. He got like hundreds of thousands of like death threats. People doxed him. They found out where he lives. They found out his like where his family lives and shit like that. And he's like getting these like death threats and like, I'm going to kill your family, whatever, from Keemstar's viewers, just because Keemstar was like, oh my God, this is the pedophile. Fuck this guy, blah, blah, blah. So he sent this hate swarm of like angry internet trolls to this guy. And they found out all this information about him and blasted him. And then like 2 days later, Keemstar puts out a video. He's like, holy shit, I'll be the first to admit, like, I want to present only the facts on this channel, and then whatever, blah, blah. And then he's like, okay, turns out I was wrong. This guy is not the guy. I'm very sorry. Like, basically kind of just trying to own up to it, but really just like nothing you can do really can make up for hundreds of thousands of people doxing someone and threatening to kill their family.
Dude, it's fucking wild that like just a hateful mob on the internet can literally find out any random human being and where they live and all that shit. And also, this is insane that it's just like realistically, there'll probably be like no repercussions unless this dude files a lawsuit against this guy. And that's insane that everyone's just going to be like, oh yeah, no big deal, Keem. Like that's cool.
Like,
cool.
Everyone makes mistakes, dude. Like, I just told this guy I'm going to like kill his mom. But like, dude, like you make mistakes, you know.
Exactly.
Like
that's so absolutely fucked. And he's just like, now it's just like, hey, I'm sorry, just to like quickly get away from it. So it's just like, please don't be mad at me. Forget about it in 3 days, like everybody else does on the internet. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so shitty. Okay, continue.
Exactly. So this
I just needed to be upset real quick.
Exactly. I know it's fucked. It's fucked. And the more you think about it, it's like it's hard not to be like fuming at that shit.
Oh my God.
So this old guy, this guy who was accused and had all these death threats, he's basically like, hey man, you know, it's fine. Like I just, you know, like I would be nice if all your fans stopped attacking me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, whatever. Of course.
Yeah. So this happens. This was in like 2017. A year later, this guy, the old guy, tweets at him again, and he's like, by the way, Keemstar, this bullshit that you pulled a year and a half ago is still impacting my life today on a day-to-day basis. Like, you know, still. And Keemstar responded to that on Twitter with a video of him being like, I don't give a fuck, dude. I don't fucking owe you anything. He's just like, I apologize. Like, what more do you want? Like, I don't like, it's just like not my fault that that these people are taking it upon themselves to dox you and whatever. And he's just like, he's mad. And he literally like in the video, he's like, fuck you, go fuck. He's like, it's taking every ounce of my willpower to not say, go fuck yourself. Like, go fuck yourself. But he like goes on for like 2 minutes responding to this old guy who said, hey, by the way, I'm still getting hate. You know?
Yeah. By the way, this mistake that you made 2 years ago is still ruining my life. And all you did was do like a quick, like 2-minute YouTube apology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this guy goes off and he's like, I don't fucking owe you anything. Like, it's not blah, blah, blah.
He absolutely
blah. Like,
owes him something.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell? You ruined his life. He's an old ass man. Just in.
Yeah.
I know.
And so like this dude made the old guy's made a YouTube video about it. And he's just like, yeah, like I posted this on Twitter. This is what he said. And he's like, all right, I concede, man. Like, I'm not, you know, he's a very angry man. Like, there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing this is just how he is. He's obviously very tormented inside. And you know what? So Keemstar, like, we're good. Like, you know, it's fine. He's like, I'm 64 years old. I don't have, you know, he's like, I will deny being a pedophile because I'm not. I know what I am. And that's all that matters to me. Whatever.
So does the court and the law and all this other shit.
Exactly. But he's just like, hey, man, like, whatever, like we're good. Holy shit. So that happens. Right. And then there's just like a whole bunch of other cases that Keemstar was like, he just like got in a disagreement with someone online and all of a sudden just like starts spewing like, man, fuck this guy. He's the worst, blah, 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 blah. Sicking his audience on this person based on all these people.
Sounds like pretty much every YouTuber that like feels slighted by somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so this led to this a thing called a series of people getting swatted. Do you know what that is?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. That kid, that guy in Kansas that got killed by it.
Yeah, exactly. So Keemstar had so this guy in Kansas, for our listeners who don't know what that means, basically it's like someone gets doxxed right on the internet, and then someone else,
which for those people that don't know what doxing is basically a bunch of people on the internet find out where you live or like a bunch of personal information about you, leak it to the internet so other people know.
Exactly.
That's doxing.
Phone numbers, addresses, family names.
Super fucked. And then people just show up at your house and fuck with you.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Now we have swatting.
Then swatting is where someone takes this information and calls the cops falsely on like some like as a prank or as some kind of sick joke, is like, oh my God, like something's happening at this address or whatever. And so the cops fucking show up to this person's address who was doxxed, whose nothing is happening at that address, but just some internet troll is fucking with them. So this happened. This happens a lot, but a very notable time was this one YouTuber, I guess, or something like that, he got doxxed, and then someone prank called the police. This dude didn't even, so this YouTuber lived in like Kansas. Someone prank called the police. They didn't even live in Kansas, and they're like, "Hey, oh my God, there's a hostage situation," like pretending to be the person at the house, at the residence.
The dude that called the Kansas police, that kid lived in Southern California.
Yes, yeah.
So like
exactly.
he called a police station 4 or 5 states away, like 1,000 miles, 1,500 miles away. Called the police to have them show up, kick the door in of this guy in Kansas. Because he was like upset about like the guy beat him in a game or something like that.
Or something. Yeah, exactly. So
I don't remember the full story, but
so apparently the guy who called wasn't the guy who doxed him originally. He was just a guy.
He just made the call.
He just made the call. So basically he impersonated this guy at the house, and he's like, I'm holding my entire family hostage. I've got a gun, blah, 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 blah. So obviously the cops are going to take that very seriously. So they all raid this dude's house. And he comes out and he's like confused as fuck. He's like, what's going on? And they're like, obviously thinking that this dude has they're taking his word, quote unquote, for it, that he has this loaded weapon and he has his entire family hostage. So this dude like reaches for something or whatever, like the door or his wife or whatever. And the cops kill him. They shoot him down. This guy's dead because someone else pretended to be him and pretended that he had hostages in the house. So obviously this is very serious like thing. This like this is super fucked up.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they've like found the guy who like made the phone call and like arrested his ass too.
They did. But before they arrested him, so that they found out who made the call maybe like a day after. Keemstar had this guy on his show on Drama Alert.
Oh fuck.
Keemstar is like, oh my, he's like, in his in his pompous way of like, oh my God, like, blah, like, hey guys, like we have the guy who called the SWAT on this guy. Like we have him on the line. Like, let's get him on the line. So he gets him on the line.
Well, holy shit. The weird implication of that is him being like, oh, he swatted this guy. So he is just fully said on his show that this dude committed a felony and then put that guy on a YouTube video, which is like a weird level of like vigilante justice.
It is, but the guy on the phone, like he's like, so you called the cops on this guy? He's like, yeah, like I did it and whatever. But at this point, Keem is playing like some kind of like white knight, and he's like, oh, like, don't you realize the kind of implications this has? Now this guy doesn't have, or this family doesn't have a father. This daughter doesn't have a, this wife doesn't have a husband, blah, 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 blah. And so he's kind of like, oh, like, look at me, like, how dare you kind of type shit. Right. But then, so like months later or whatever, he calls, he's like he's like live streaming or some shit, and some other YouTuber that he didn't like, he's like, yo, we should like fuck this guy, like I hate this guy, like we need to get his personal information on here, like someone find out his personal information, blah, 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 live on stream, doxes this guy. And then he's just like, oh, by the way, here's his wife's phone number, oh, by the way, here's his daughter's name. Like he just like goes and he's just like on like, barely a couple months after he just had this guy on his channel and was like reprimanding him. Now he's just like, oh, like, fuck this guy, whatever. And so the cops actually, the guy ended up getting swatted as well. I mean, luckily nothing happened and he's fine, but he was like, he ends up getting swatted. So,
dude, the thing is how does that not violate some form of community guideline?
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Like, how is Twitch not just like, okay, well, fuck this. This is weird. Ban
I don't
him.
know.
How is YouTube not responding to this? Because, like, I guess maybe there's some like loophole around it. Like, he specifically is not doing it. Sure, but he's like calling all these other people to do it. Like that's so absolutely fucked. And it's just like, oh, I don't like this person. Let's ruin their lives.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
So
like,
weird, dude.
And he's sponsored by G Fuel. Like straight up, like he has every video's got a G Fuel hat. He's got cases of G Fuel. Like he's got big sponsors. And how have they not? Out.
That's so weird.
He's still sponsored.
Jesus, Tiger Woods, like, did all that shit and got all of his sponsors taken away. This guy's
immediately.
Yeah, this guy's like basically ruined 3 people's lives publicly.
Yeah,
and has done nothing about it.
No shame, no apologies, no nothing, and
fucking
still
wild.
Has these massive sponsors. So, whatever, this happens, and then there's this YouTuber called Etika. Right, there's this. I don't know if you knew who he was or whatever, but anyways, this YouTuber, his name was Etika. And he was pretty big on the platform, maybe like 3 years ago. And essentially but this dude, he was very, very like deeply, like he had a lot of, I think he was diagnosed with maybe bipolar disorder or something like that. Like he had like these manic episodes and like on camera and stuff like that. And like people were like very worried about him.
Rightfully so.
So yeah, exactly. So what I took a screenshot because I was okay, cool. Yeah. So basically Keemstar reported on that. He's just like, like very like, again, nonchalantly and very like, oh, I'm so much better than everyone else, is reporting on this. He's like, oh my God, looks like Etika's at it again with more of his, like he calls it like antics. And he like very much like demeans these like huge, horrible, like mental breakdowns to like this, like, oh, he's just like, he's back at it again type of shit.
Which also just like does a lot to downgrade the severity of like mental illness and shit.
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
God,
exactly.
This is all just so annoying.
He also like this is pulled directly from his Twitter, just like from last year. So he like doesn't believe in mental illness. He just like, it's just weakness. Blah. It's just like whatever. He just like, he tweeted, the drug companies invent these illnesses so they can sell drugs to morons. He's like, social anxiety is fake, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, stop being weak. Like he's a horrible person. This was last year. This was like just taken like from his Twitter. He tweets this shit publicly.
With like millions of people following him,
millions
big
of followers.
sponsors, as we've found out. And like he's just able to spew this shit. This is so Fox News.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. It's insane. So anyways, this guy, Etika, he gets doxxed as well. And the cops show up to and swatted, and the cops show up to his house, whatever. But he's like, he's taking videos and he's like, hey, like he posted this on like Instagram Live or something. He was like live and the cops are at his door and he's like, I don't know why you're here. Like, listen, I'm filming, like, I'm very scared, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. So he's on Instagram Live as this happens. The cops like take him down, his phone falls and you like hear him struggle or some shit. And then he gets taken to like a psychiatric hospital or something like that. And at all this time, so like people are well aware of what's going on. So Keemstar at the same time is reporting on this, and he's like he's like, these guys just, he's so like, he calls him like weak, and he's like, he's just doing this for attention, and he's just doing this, blah, blah, blah. And then so while this guy is very clearly like tormented and he has like a lot of things that he needs help, and Keemstar's making a big joke out of it. And so this guy is in recovery or in somewhere at a hospital. Keemstar doxes him at the hospital. He tweets out, he's like, Etika is at Elmhurst Mental Hospital. Here's the address. Here's his room.
Why?
He tweets it.
What was the reasoning?
I don't know. To get people to harass him or some shit.
Why? The only thing, what did he do to get him doxxed in the first place? Because it just sounds like he was just like, oh, he's up to his antics, and then the people just took it upon themselves to like fuck with him. Is that
essentially? Yeah, he just like, so I glossed over this part. Like basically, I don't know the full details, but I don't think Etika did anything to Keemstar in the first place. Like from my understanding, he's just this guy who Keemstar like is like, oh, well, what the fuck? Like, why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. And so then he's like, oh my God, he's at the mental hospital. He's here, like whatever. So this guy is clearly already in a lot of like anguish. And so now he has people like knowing where he is, like tweeting him shit. I mean, like he has the internet. He's on YouTube. He has a Twitter, and he's like, well aware of what's going on. And so now he's getting all these hate messages, all this whatever, and he's already like, very shaken.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
After this, he gets released, and Keemstar is like, hey man, come on my show and like do a call live on the air. He's like, okay. So he gives him a call on the air, and he's like, hey, he's just like, and this guy, Etika, he's saying like it very clearly like is not in the right mental state to be having a conversation. So he's just like kind of like saying things that Keemstar's dismissing, like, oh, like, I mean, it does sound kind of like, all right, this guy, like, any normal person who's having a conversation with this guy is like, okay, this guy, I need to take a step back. Like, this guy's not in the right headspace. Cause he's saying like, oh yeah, like I am God and I am whatever. And this is what life is, a simulation. We shouldn't fear death, blah, blah, like saying stuff that like is very clearly evident of someone who's like going through a lot of trauma and just like, I don't know. Like he's very clearly troubled and needs to seek help and has been seeking help, but is in recovery. Like there's a lot of shit going on, right? No one is at blame. No one's to blame. But Keemstar is now like poking fun at this guy, and he's like has him on the show, and he's like, okay, so he's just like, oh, whatever, like, so you believe this and you believe life's a simulation, like where do you get off, like what's the deal? And so then this guy's Etika's saying like, oh, like yeah, like this is we shouldn't fear death, and this is what's coming, and everything in your life has led up to this, and blah blah blah. And so basically then Keemstar is like, oh, so if you don't fear death, why don't you should just jump off a bridge, basically says that. And so the phone call ends with Etika being pissed at Keemstar, like super pissed. Like he's like, hey man, I get that it's okay to joke around and shit, but the shit you do is fucked up. It's mean. It's not cool. It's whatever. And Keemstar's like, oh, it's mean. Oh, it's mean. Blah, blah, blah. Like, like, and so then it ends in a screaming match. Etika just disconnects. He just hangs up. And Keemstar's like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like what? That guy's insane. Blah, blah. And then 5 months later, maybe it's related to Keemstar. It's kind of hard to say that Keemstar had nothing to do with it. This dude jumps off a bridge, kills himself. And literally, like, it's insane. So, but he jumps off a bridge. No one knew that at first. People just knew that he was missing. He posted this like 8-minute long video on his YouTube channel. It was titled like, this is goodbye, or thank you so much, or something like that, whatever. So people are like very worried. And then he goes missing, not answering his phone, nothing. And Keemstar tweets, he's like, what did he say? He said, the thing that pisses me off is that Etika now 100% knows the internet's worried about him. And 13 hours later, he's not notifying his fans that he's okay. And then he said, and in this same tweet, he said, maybe it's because he did off himself, but I doubt it. Like just being so fucking nonchalant, so shitty about the thing. Then a day later, they're like, we found his body in the river, confirmed dead. And then Keemstar tweets out, like 2 seconds later, the body found was Etika, confirmed by the NYPD. Rest in peace, homie. Like, like,
what?
And then, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then
you cannot fucking do that to somebody and then randomly call them homie in another fucking tweet on the internet. What the hell, dude? Yeah.
And then everyone's like, are you kidding? Like, he's not your homie. Like, this is blah, blah. So now everyone's attacking him because clearly he's gone too far. This is super fucked up. They're like, dude, like, do you realize what you're doing? Like, look at this interview that you had with him like 5 months ago. Like, look at all the stuff that you've done to him. Like, this is I'm like, they're like, this is fucked up, man. Like, this is insane. Like, you can't just backpedal like this. This is not forgivable. And then he posts a video and he's like, excuse me. He's just like, I'm just trying to mourn the passing of my friend right now. Like, I don't need this. I'm like, and he's just like playing the victim card. He's like, oh, this is my friend. Like, he was my friend. And like, how dare you get whatever. And like, oh my God, so fucked up. And then he's like, people are trying to pin my friend's death on me. I can't even mourn one of my good friends. Like, he tweeted that. Fuck? That is a tweet.
How were they even friends? Were they friends?
They're not. No, they weren't friends. They weren't
friends.
Did
they know each other prior to that interview? Did they have any connection whatsoever?
I mean, besides Keemstar calling out Etika and just saying like, hey man, like unprovoked seemingly, no, they were not friends. Keemstar called out this guy who had, who needed to work some stuff out and who needed help and was attacking him out of nowhere. And that was their friendship, apparently. Like it was, and then it ended with that interview and him screaming at Keemstar and saying like, man, this is fucked up. Like, you can't do this. You can't ruin people's lives like this. Like, this is insane. Like, blah, 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 blah.
He's sicked his fucking following on 3 different people that could have very well resulted in their deaths. Mm-hmm. And then he has now pretty directly contributed to the suicide of another person.
Yep. Yeah.
And he's just, as of like right now, he's still continuing to operate, still has like Twitch and YouTube and stuff.
Oh yeah. And so this was, but the thing is, here's the thing, dude, this was
how did I not hear about this?
This was a year ago.
Fuck,
this was like a little less than a year ago. This was like June of 2019. So
oh my God.
Since then, I mean, he's still doing shit. Like he's still like, he kind of went dark after that, like kind of went quiet, kind of laid low.
I would fucking hope so.
But
at least.
Now, yeah, exactly. But now he's like back, and still making videos and shit. Maybe not as accusatory as before, but Actually, no, he is. He still is. So like, and then the whole reason this whole thing came full circle is because, so this is all in this H3 video. He was like, so Comic-Con is trying very desperately to still happen. And
Right.
Ethan of H3 is very vocal about, hey, you probably shouldn't do this right now with how things are, you know, like with the coronavirus and shit like that. Like you're putting a lot of people at risk. So he's very like clear, he's like very outspoken about that they shouldn't do this, understandably. So Keemstar is now like attacking Ethan. He's like, hey man, he's just like, oh, so like, again, going off of this whole thing that he does where he just like spews facts or not fact, what he thinks are facts without any information to back it up. So he's like, so now Ethan is trying to cancel Comic-Con. So like there must be, he's like, so I did some digging. There must be some like beef with him and Comic-Con. Maybe they wanted him to appear on a panel and didn't give him enough money. Maybe this happened. Maybe this happened. He's like, either way, he's like, Ethan is trying to ruin, like, you know, he's trying to rob people of their joy, whatever. And then Ethan's like, okay,
people of their joy. In
this video, without not talking to Keemstar, but he's like, clearly this dude just thrives on drama. And he's like, Ethan is saying, I am in a very like good place financially. I have a wife that loves me. I have a podcast. I have a child. I have whatever. I'm in a great place. Like I feel great and I'm doing well monetarily. He's like, I can take this kind of heat from Keemstar, but he directs this same like level of hatred and aggression towards people who are maybe not in as good of a place as I am. And he's like, and even to me, he's like, that fucks me up. He's like, that messes with me when he comes out and accuses me. So imagine someone who doesn't have the clout that I have, who doesn't have the whatever that I have, and he goes and just like doxes them and attacks them. Cause he also doxed Ethan. He doxed Ethan like a couple years back.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That was him. Fuck.
Yeah. So he's like, that's basically what he's like, this shit needs to stop. He's like, obviously none of this has been enough of a sign for anyone. He's still got huge sponsors. He's still sponsored by G Fuel. He's still like has this insane amount of clout. And he's, you know, like for some reason, this has just gone under the radar. And so Ethan is like hoping to bring it to light, whatever, which hopefully it does. Cause holy shit, like I knew he was a shitty kind of guy, but I didn't know it was like this.
Like the sheer fact that his like soul, like his brand is literally centered around other people's issues. And like all he does is he just like points them out. Like he's just like, here's an idea. And then he like throws out just like a wild accusation as if it's fact. Yeah. And it's literally just Alex Jones. Like that's all he's doing is he's just making a bold fucking claim with absolutely no backing to it whatsoever. He doesn't present any articles. He never gives any sources. He just like is like, oh, I found this, so it must mean this. And it's like, that's not how that works, my guy.
It's insane.
And like he is clearly getting away with it. That's absolutely crazy. He's like manufacturing his own shit so that he can get his own news cycle. Like that's all he's doing. Yeah. That's exactly what he's doing. Dude. And it's so manipulative and it's so just shitty and no one seems to be noticing. And that's just able to exist and, you know, propagate all over these platforms that so many people use to make a living and that so many people use to like bring joy to people. And it's like, obviously like this, like our humble little podcast here is, you know, something that, you know, you and I care very deeply about. And like, it's something that like we are like genuinely putting in a lot of our time to do. And just to have somebody who's sitting at the top to look at someone, you know, like us, like any other, you know, small scale YouTuber, someone with, you know, sub 10,000 subs and stuff like that. Like for somebody like that to like look at you and just point a finger at you and be like, that one for no fucking reason at all is like, it's mind blowing. Like I have like a little bit of goosebumps and stuff like that, just cause it could just happen to anybody. Like just at the drop of the hat, whatever the fuck he decides, he could just fuck somebody's life up. Like that's insane. Like just because, you know, he read
just cause he wants to.
Yeah.
He read something that made him angry. Yeah.
Yeah. Or he read the headline of an article and it's just like, I can do a video about this, and just makes a video. Doesn't do any research, doesn't do anything like that. Like it can just end. And then he's just allowed to do that. Like that's terrifying.
And
like,
then his fan base just like blindly listens to what he says.
Yeah, they're all toxic. It's all very indicative of the times, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And that's just like able to continue for some reason. And like, it's all just a cult of personality. Like one dude can just be like, I think this. So everybody's just like, that's true. That's fact. That is a fact.
Yeah.
That is how that is. And that's fucking insane, dude. Like, I don't understand how people like have gotten to the point where they just distrust shit solely because one dude who's in the wrong told them to distrust it. Like, that's
I know.
mind-boggling that we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's insane. So yeah, fuck Keemstar right off the bat. That holy shit, like that. I mean, I sincerely hope that this video sparks some kind of conversation, outside of the YouTube sphere, because like before, I mean, he exists. I mean, he was, very proud. If you said the name Keemstar to someone who had no idea what YouTube was or didn't watch YouTube, they'd be like, huh? So I sincerely hope that this does something to kind of just cancel it, like fuck this guy, like
absolutely
fuck it,
That's insane. Well, I think like the interesting thing too is like, I don't want to throw them under the bus because like I love these guys, but like the Misfits podcast, which is like those guys are like pretty scuffed comedy. Like they kind of ride the edge of what's acceptable and what isn't, and like that's kind of their brand, and it works. Sometimes I don't fuck with it all the time, but sometimes it's funny. And I enjoy their videos and stuff like that. And every now and then on their podcast, they talk about, we met up with Keem or whatever at this thing, and like tell a story about like one time they're hanging out with Keemstar. And every time like that kind of thing comes up, I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Right. just
because like it sucks watching like people that you like and like people that you kind of like take inspiration from associating with people who are like actively ruining people's lives. Like that's, it's fucked up. And it's hard to separate. Yeah, and it's hard to separate the person from the art when the person in the sense of the YouTube space, like they are their art. Like their personality is a lot of like,
that's their brand. That's
exactly
what's getting them views. Yeah,
exactly. It's hard to be like, it's hard to look at like a filmmaker and be like, cool, I like their movies, I like their videos, don't like them as a person. And it's hard. It's hard to do that in YouTube when it's like, that's
who they
what
are.
they bring. Exactly.
Like they basically just turn on a camera and they're like, hey, like this is me. Yeah. They're, yeah, I feel that. That's hard,
dude. And it just adds like more fuel to that fire. Dude, I'm like mad. I'm like actually mad.
I was pissed watching that video. Oh, I know. I was looking all this shit up, and it was like, it is infuriating. I mean, like that this dude has gotten away with it for so long and just like obviously caught in some flack, but like nowhere near the amount that he should. Dude,
like I think like after that kind of shit, somebody needs to like file a lawsuit or something, because it's like, how is this guy going to learn that what he's doing is actually harmful if somebody doesn't like force him to do something about it? Because I guarantee you, if someone presented like a lawsuit of like, like losses and damages or like, loss to health and stuff like that, I'm sure they could win. I'm sure they could directly point a line to be like, yeah, this dude contributed to this.
Yeah, but
like, that's insane.
The thing is, like, the fact of the matter is that also shitty because like this dude obviously has a lot of money, obviously has a lot of pull, probably connected to some powerful people. So I can imagine how intimidating it would be for someone who is nowhere near that level of fame or clout or whatever, or just like even like that older guy who he's like, hey, fuck this guy's a pedophile, who doesn't have any kind of voice online, who's just, well, now he kind of does, but like who was just like a dude before, like someone like that trying to like go up against a big powerhouse, like with big connections and a lot of very deep pockets, like that's intimidating as fuck.
Yeah, dude, that's hard. Like, it's hard to look at, like, I know this is going to sound like very strange, especially to like some of our listeners out there, that it's like, if you look at like someone's YouTube channel and they have, 1 million plus subscribers, like that alone is intimidating, because you're just like, oh, this guy in a way has made it. Like this, like it's very much like punching above your weight class if like you think of it that way. And that's totally, that gets really intimidating. It gets really hard because you're like, okay, how do I fight this? And I don't know, like, I guess at some point it becomes like, oh, is it worth it? Oh, it's just some stupid internet drama. But I think like once that internet drama goes outside of it and a fucking SWAT team rolls up to your house, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's absolutely time to get lawyers involved at that point. That's
100%.
That's insane.
It's not just internet drama at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's like genuine like threat to the public. honestly, it could. It's treading a line of almost being domestic terrorism. Like,
yeah,
that's fucked up. That's super fucked up. Holy shit.
So we'll see what comes to light in the next week. I'm sure this will travel very fast, very quickly. Shit will, people will start to speak out about it, or we'll start to see like articles or whatever the fuck.
When did that video go live today?
This morning at like 10.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, May 19th, as of time of recording, that came to light. So that's fucking wild.
We'll see. But again, I mean, it's not like this information wasn't public before. So that's the only other thing. It's not like, oh my God, all this new information on Keemstar has been unearthed. It's just like
now it's a more accessible bigger audience.
Yeah, exactly. So
like, here you go.
We'll see. So we'll see. I sincerely hope something happens. Like, YouTube should fucking delete this guy's channel. Like, what is he doing?
Or at least like give him some form of a fucking like reprimand. You can't just let that shit go along. And you have to like at some point you have to make an example. Like if you want something to actually continue, you have to be like, all right, this is the precedent. Don't fuck with this. Yeah. And I think even too, like a couple days ago, I was reading some articles too about this whole like Twitch Security Council that they just established. Have you seen anything about this?
I've heard about it. I haven't read about it though.
So basically, I haven't read very deep into it, so a lot of this information could be skewed or just misunderstood. But essentially what they were doing is basically like, okay, we've had a lot of people, complain. Like Twitch has been in the news a lot about, some shit that's been kind of fucked up. And like Alinity finally got like a couple day ban.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and this was a couple months ago she got banned. Basically, this streamer has been on the platform for years. Like she has been all over it, and she's kind of a shitty person, dude. And so she has come out, like there's been a lot of videos where she was like, hey, can we talk to this person about getting this person banned? And it's like a person at like the company that runs like a management firm or something like that. And then she's just like actively going out of her way to just get people banned because she doesn't like what they're saying about her or something like that. Right. And then like, there's been a lot of like things of animal abuse where like her cat walked in front of her during one of the
she
things.
Like threw it or some shit.
Yeah, she like picked the cat up and just like catapulted it over her back and no reprimand for that. And like a dude literally got like, I think he got banned because he like picked up his cat when it was on there and was like, sorry, buddy. And like threw him down and like put him down. And as he was going out, the cat like jumped out of his hands and like fell. He got like a couple day suspension for that. Like he didn't even like actively throw the cat or anything like that. Like, it was just how it happened and people reported him for it. And a lot of like what they were saying is that, Alinity has pull at Twitch basically. So like she, has some dirt on somebody or like these dudes are like, possibly in bed with her, which I think is a wild accusation to make, more so than the blackmail thing. But like Twitch has had all these problems. They've had these problems of like favoritism and nepotism and all this other shit. And I think finally they were like, all right, we need to do something to like get people back on our side. So they created like this Twitch Security Council, I believe is what it's called. And essentially it's a group of like professionals in both like cybersecurity, other Twitch streamers, and like people from like the company Twitch together, basically being like, all right, here, like basically they're like watchdogs of Twitch now. And there's a trans woman that's on like the council and stuff like that, and she's gotten like death threats and shit like that because of like people being like, what, like, why is this person on here? And like she's made some statements. I can't remember the exact thing, but it was pretty much like she was just getting hate for fucking mostly just kind of being a trans woman and
trans,
like, and just like and like speaking out against some of this stuff. And I have to find it because like I can't remember the exact thing. It's like the Safety Advisory Council. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So she basically made the statement that they should get rid of voice chat in games, mostly due to the fact that there are, there's like gender encoding and stuff like that in, the way someone sounds. Like listening to me, somebody who can't see my face would probably assume, oh, that is a white male. Like that's
right. Yeah, for sure.
The assumption. And like the same with you.
Yeah.
And so she's like, as a trans woman, if I get on and my voice is, maybe she's already started doing HRT and stuff like that. So like her voice might be like a slightly higher or slightly deeper, and like they might understand that, oh, like this is a trans person,
right?
We can now target them, like basically for harassment and stuff,
right?
So a lot of people got really pissed because they were just like, you're just gonna get rid of voice chat in games that require like talking and stuff like
communication.
That. Yeah. Which is like the argument that I'm kind of behind, where it's like, okay, why would you can't take it out. Like you can't, like that's the point of most of these games, is so that like you can communicate and do all that stuff. You can mute things, totally fine. You can mute yourself out of everything. That's fine. But I completely understand her argument, and I think it is a valid argument. And
for sure.
Unfortunately, I don't think that will be fixed for
I mean, that's decades. The thing. It's not like a black and white issue. It's not just like,
exactly,
like people are attacking, people, and just people are just attacking people over voice chat. Right. Oh, like get rid of voice chat. Like it's not like that simple, because it's like it's a necessary component of games. Yeah, exactly. And like
you can dismantle that. And I think like a lot of that, like there's a lot of like Twitch content, YouTube content, and stuff like that comes out of just interacting with random people.
Right.
And I think it's mostly just like a human behavior thing. This issue won't be fixed until, people actually recognize trans people as, I don't know, fucking people. What the hell? Why? How is that so hard?
It's less of a Twitch issue, or less of like a issue with like, oh, this is a core functionality of the game, and just like, oh, like you're a fucking horrible person for
absolutely.
Why does this need to be brought into this game at all?
Right. Right. And I think the problem is that people took like that side of the argument that I was saying and started harassing her for it. And like they started like pulling up stuff from like her Twitch and stuff where they're just like, hey, this is fucking weird. You're a weird person. Fuck you. How dare you? Like, you're a terrible person. And it just like, it catapulted that way. So she's just like been harassed for, I don't know, having an idea and an opinion. Like, sure, it might not be like one that can work, but she presented a valid point and a very valid argument to that point. And that kind of shit's like going down, and like they've just like started throwing stuff out. I believe she got doxxed as well, and I believe her partner also got doxxed, which is so fucked.
Like, why? I don't understand that. Like if you're mad at someone enough to dox them, like, sure, what the fuck? But like, why? Like, even like with the Keemstar shit, like, why? It's like, oh, here's his wife's phone number. Oh, here's their partner's address. Like, why does that? That's dangerous.
Yeah, well, I think people just don't understand. They just do not understand the repercussions of that action, because they're just like, it doesn't get to me. I don't have to deal with it. And it's very much, the problem with humanity is like, oh, I can't see the problem.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem to me. So whatever, I can do all of this, but they don't understand the impact that they're fucking ruining somebody's life. Like that is exactly what they are doing. And they don't get that. And it just gets thrown out the window. And nobody deals with it, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's fine." They sent out a 2-minute YouTube apology, like all is forgiven. And it's like, nah, dude, like you inspired. If your thing inspires one person to harass somebody, that's fucked up. And these people have millions of followers, so statistically speaking, it's gonna be more than one. So that's so fucked to me that like somebody can just like spew this hate and this nonsense and shit like that, and like ruin somebody's life and like fucking kill somebody basically,
and then backpedal and be like, oh man, I'm sorry, and then like,
exactly,
oh, it's fine. Like,
and I fucking hate that. And I think again, like from the beginning, like we were talking about how like we wanted this space to be a place that we could celebrate people and kind of like bring forth ideas and like community and like make people feel better, and it's shit like this that always like gets me down and pisses me off. But it's also like now I'm like a little bit more like motivated now to like try to make that work, just because I'm fucking tired of seeing all these people like getting getting hurt because of somebody's dumb tweet or somebody's dumb statement on Twitch or a YouTube video. Like I'm just fucking sick of it. Like I'm just so tired of reading these articles of people getting harassed for no fucking reason.
Same.
And I don't know, man. I think what we got going here is a good start for something that I don't know might help somebody along the lines, and that's what I want to do.
So.
And
I'd like to hope so, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to bring some people on this podcast from different walks of life, like different gender identities and different races and different cultures and backgrounds and stuff. Just because I think not only would that give us a better like I don't know the word I'm looking for here, but like a better like outlook,
just
on
perspective, like well-rounded perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like not only will that benefit us, but it would also just benefit other fucking people. Cause I don't know. I think that's important.
I agree. I'm totally, yeah. I mean, I'd love to have people on, you know, some of our friends, some of, you know, just like people we look up to or whatever, like on this podcast as in general.
Once we can not sit.
Once it's allowed. Exactly. Yeah.
next
exactly.
to each other.
Yeah.
But that's, dude, I don't know, man. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this conversation. And that was a whole hour long conversation on this.
50 minutes. Like, holy shit, man.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from today's episode, everybody who's listening, is don't fucking be shitty. Don't be shitty to people. It's not hard. It's not fucking hard, dude. Oh my God. And I'm just, oh my. And it's annoying too. Because like it just gives the internet, it gives Twitch, it gives YouTube a bad name. It always does. And there's so much good on here. There are so many communities that are so accepting and welcoming and like loving and do great things and, you know, help out other people and like just it's infuriating to me.
It's already a medium that's like looked down on by like more traditional like media, by or like maybe news outlets or by like people who like didn't grow up with it or whatever. They're just like, oh, it's just like, what? It's just the internet or whatever. But it's so fucking influential. And it's like, we don't need more people adding to that, to perpetuating the stereotype of that. It's just like some like fad or some like whatever. Like it's a real thing with very influential people on it in both ways, in the good sense and the bad sense. And we don't need the shitty people like bringing more attention to that and being like, oh, okay, well, clearly this is just like a shitty like medium of way to transmit information. Like we don't need that. Like it doesn't, you know?
And there's plenty of cesspools on the internet as well that attract shitty people and let them sit in their own echo chamber and get even shittier. So yes, I get that. I get that there are bad things associated with the internet, but I think like the good does outweigh the bad. And I think people focus a little too hard 100%. On the bad, which, you know, what we just did for a fucking hour. But I think the biggest point is that like, this is one dude. It's one dude, it's one group of people, it's one following. That's it. There's millions of other people who are not part of that, who are against that. But I think like, you know, we need like, you need more people to speak out against it. You need people like Ethan who are just like, I'm not going to take this bullshit. Like this guy killed somebody and is trying to ruin my life and could do it for other people. Like, I don't want that to happen. Yeah. I think that's important. I think that's important to like raise those voices up and like make that heard a little bit more.
I think so. Totally.
I think that's the thing that the internet is. It's not desperately missing. It's not really missing it either. I think it's missing the affirmative action of other people. I think the other people that aren't, you know, attempting to do something, or at least attempting to make their voices heard or something like that, like we're doing, like many of other people do across the internet every day. But I think one of the things that always bugs me is I think people aren't very like pragmatic about what they say on the internet, where they're just like, oh, fuck this person. But like they have no backing to it. They have nothing to like do about it. And that's one thing that I think needs to be
because they don't have to, because it's not, again, not the traditional media. It's not news. It's not whatever. It's just like, it's just a dude with a camera.
Yeah, you know? And it's just the court of public opinion. If someone perceives you to be doing good, then cool. That's enough for most people. Like they don't have to go do good now if they don't have to. Like, but I think, you know, there's a lot of people out there that like are genuinely doing good things and like trying to help people and, you know, bringing communities together and stuff like that. And I don't think they're being heard enough. And that's something that's always bugged me. And like, I've always wanted to get to a point in my life where I can like do more to like foster that, I guess. And like, you know, just help out. And especially like in a city like LA where like the disparities between, you know, groups of people are so high, and there's a lot, like the poverty lines are drawn so differently. And I've always wanted to like try to help that. And like, this place is now my home. The internet is also part of my home as well, I would say. And I want to do some shit like that. I want to be the Ethan in this situation. Like, that's what I want to do at some point. I don't need people to be like, oh, this guy's an Ethan. I just want to do it.
You just want to do it for yourself, and for other people. And that's what counts. I mean, that's what gets the most done.
Yeah, and this is just another big little fire. Big little lies. But yeah, exactly. But this is very much this whole conversation, I think, is kind of like put a little bit more light to that. And I think I don't know. I'm just like mad. I'm sick of it, dude. I'm so sick of it. And it's annoying too. Like, for us to want to start, building something. Like we kind of got hit with a shitty timing to be trying to build this, but it's, we're still trying, we're still doing what the thing that we want to do. Like it's not really, it's not impacting our lives very heavily. Like it hasn't taken over anything like that. And I think, the fact that we want to like do this and like put forth the effort to do it, I think is, something like other people could like be inspired by or like try to do something with. And that's, I don't know that there was like more of like an introspective point there. I kind of lost it along the way.
I get it though. I mean, I see what you're saying and I feel it. And I think that that's a good goal, at least for personally and professionally. I think it's something that we can kind of aspire to be and, put up on the bulletin board,
Yeah, dude. I think everybody needs a goal. Everybody needs to do something to make themselves feel better and something to like make the world a little better. And I think that's the biggest thing that we could say.
Yeah, exactly. That's the most profound. Bit. That's the most profound that we can be, I think.
As two white men in their mid-20s.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we got right now. All right, we got time.
We're working for it. We're working towards it.
Don't blame us for our faults. Just point them out and help us get better.
Exactly. But holy shit, man! I mean, that was almost the whole time. Let's try to end it on a more positive note. On a more positive note.
Let's give this a little up, other than our little positive spiel there.
Yeah, we have some citizens of the week to get to.
Woo! I love these.
It's time for Citizen of the Week, baby. Here
Welcome to Citizen of the Week.
All right, so this is currently happening, or at least it was 9 minutes before we started recording, a group fight involving broomsticks near a flower shop. Just a bunch of people. I don't know what is with the group fights happening, but
they're playing Quidditch. They just don't know what that is yet. Exactly. People haven't caught on.
Several men and women are allegedly fighting and weaponizing broomsticks. That's what the headline says.
Yeah, so, it's just Quidditch, man.
It's Quidditch.
Like, they're like throwing balls at each other and shit, and they're just like, all right, there it is.
That's fucking funny. Imagine mistaking Quidditch for fighting.
You like drive past like a park and there's like people like doing it and they're like, oh my god. Like, could you imagine the police rolling up to a Quidditch match being like, hey, somebody said that you guys were fighting? Yeah, and they're just like,
everyone on the ground right now, put your hands where I can see them. And they're like, it's like a bunch of like dudes with acne and like real skinny dudes with broomsticks. They're like, oh my god, what the fuck?
And like their PVC pipes between their legs and their dodgeballs, like, oh no, and like
the weapons down. Okay, what's going on?
That'd be the funniest fucking thing. They're like, oh, that's just a bunch of
ready? Right, as you were. Shit.
Fuck.
Next one. Report of a group in taco truck wielding bats. They're just going around in their taco truck threatening other people with baseball bats, which is don't know why and don't know, like, are there multiple I have questions. Are there multiple people in the taco truck? Are they like leaning out the side like like knocking down mailboxes or some shit? Like it's like the 80s.
Driving down like country roads, like what mailboxes are they gonna hit? We live in a fucking metropolitan area.
I know.
They like get out, run up to somebody's apartment, just like hit the mailboxes outside a couple times, run back into their taco truck, drive away.
But they're playing like as they pull up.
I just like the idea of like a taco truck rolling up and like a bunch of kids at like a playground and like all these guys get out with like baseball bats, and it's just like how there's a much more intimidating vehicle that you could be 100%. Driving. What the hell?
Oh my god, like a roach coach. That's so fucking funny.
Roach.
And now, after that, there was a group in a Mustang throwing eggs at passing cars. A red Ford Mustang convertible. Police are responding to a report of a group of people in a red Ford Mustang convertible throwing eggs at passing vehicles.
You know what's funny?
Are they parked?
I almost guarantee you that we will see a YouTube video from one of those dudes in the car.
Oh yeah.
And like the title's going to be like egg prank disrupted by cops. And it's like
the cops called. Emotional.
Yeah, like, that's not a prank. That's vandalism.
That's vandalism, my guy. You're just like throwing, you're egging people.
Yeah, exactly. And a quick aside to that, I hate how all these fucking pranks they just like they do something illegal, and then when somebody comes up, they're like, "It's a prank, bro," and they're like, "That's not a prank." Like that, you committed a crime. You committed a crime.
That reminds me, holy shit! So I was in Amsterdam in last October for some music conference, and I was sitting in a cafe and just like eating outside. And this like I'd been walking around like the morning or like walking around the square that morning before I got breakfast, and I saw this like group of guys, like, I don't know, maybe mid-20s, with like a camera, let's just like doing dumb shit, like with you know, like asking people questions and shit on the street. And I was like, oh, maybe they're filming some kind of YouTube video, whatever. And so then I sat down at this cafe and I see the same group of guys come up around the corner and talk to, and you know, I was like, oh my God, I think they're like coming up to me. And
Thanks.
So I'm sitting with my friend.
Like my worst nightmare.
Yeah. And so they've got this camera out and the one guy's like, hey, you're on, the guy's like, you know, whatever, this is blah, 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 blah. And I was like, and he gives me the mic. I was like, oh, hi. And he's like, and then he just like starts asking questions. And then like, I see the one guy like behind the camera going, like giving him the thumbs up. And then the dude just starts taking his clothes off. And I'm like, what are you doing? So he gets down to his underwear. Right. And then he's like, I'm going to take off my underwear. I was like, please don't. There's people sitting right here. You're in the middle of Amsterdam, in the middle of the city. I mean, like, I just don't do, like, it's weird. It's kind of like harassment. Like, don't whip your dick out.
Also public
in the middle of this restaurant.
Like that's all very illegal.
And I was just like, I'd really prefer it if you didn't do that. Like, just, I'm like trying to eat. I was like, whatever. And so then after like talking to him, he like goes away because he's like realized I'm not going to go along with it. But like, he's like, oh, I'm just like, we're doing pranks. I was like, your prank involves whipping your dick out in a public place and like waving it around and like showing people who don't want to see it. Like, that's not a prank.
And also, it's not really a prank if he's literally telling you step by step what he's about to do.
I know.
Like, that's just not how that works.
It's not.
That's so
what
fucking
is it?
stupid.
What are pranks anymore, dude? They're so fucking stupid.
It's just people trying to get quick views and get rich on YouTube. Like that's the fucking American dream now. I
guess so, man. I mean, holy shit. They're like, oh, I'm just trying to get my first $1 million. No, million hits, dude. That's where it's at right now.
I'm just trying to get my gold play button, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
God, that's insane.
It's weird. It's really weird. But our last citizen of the week goes to a woman who also has a bat. And she is chasing a man on crutches.
How could she not?
Walmart.
Oh my God. So it's in Burbank. Cool.
Like,
here's the thing. How are you not outrunning a dude on crutches?
She's chasing him.
His legs don't work.
And you've got 2 working legs and a bat and you can't catch up to this motherfucker.
First of all, that dude now has like 2 weapons that he can use, but you know, he is handicapped at this point.
That's true.
So that's dude, I need to download this.
Insane. You need to download it.
I haven't done it yet.
It's crazy. Oh, also by like yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, Citizen introduced this thing. It's like in beta stages, but it is essentially like it's kind of creepy. Because it like just thinking about how much data it has to store and collect is kind of unnerving. So essentially they rolled out this thing, or they're still rolling it out over the course of the next, you know, couple weeks, couple months. And it is called, it's within the Citizen app. It's called Safe Trace. And basically when you turn it on, it's like, do you want to enroll in Safe Trace, whatever. And it shows a video with a voiceover by Mila Kunis. And it's like, so COVID-19, blah, 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 it talks about that. And then it's like, using Safe Trace, we can, you know, potentially track if you came in contact. They're like, so we track all of the other people who are on Safe Trace using Bluetooth. So it's like, it doesn't store any data, but still. And then it's like, if you came into contact with someone who then tests positive for COVID-19, it will alert you and it will alert all the people you came in contact with. So it essentially records everyone that you come in contact with that also has the safe track. And then if they go get tested, they report back positive, they report on their safe track that they had it. And then everyone who's in the logs that they came in contact with gets a notification you may have been exposed to COVID-19. And then everyone that you're connected to or you've come in contact with gets a notification you might have been exposed to someone who might have been exposed. And it's like just this whole fucking chain. And then it even breaks it down by like how many casual contacts you've had, how many meaningful contacts you've had, like how many times you've been in like contact with someone else who has the app in general. It's like kind of scary. I mean, it's dope. It's cool that this exists, but like it's insane.
It would be scarier to me. The implications of this are very kind of terrifying, but it would have been scarier to me if they just automatically updated it. Like they just had your your number, and then they assumed it with like a state reported document. That would be scarier because that's state surveillance. And like this comes at a time where like Mitch McConnell has put through a bill trying to get the FBI to obtain people's search history without needing a warrant. And that's going to get tabled. So like, we're getting to a point where like this, like Republicans are trying to hard push like more surveillance of like our own fucking citizens. Yeah. Pun intended. And now we have this app that seemingly could like very easily give them the option of being able to just track everybody and track everybody's outputs and like their own, like, I don't want to get too like conspiracy theory here, but like I think like it comes to a point where like somebody reports a crime on it, the FBI can just immediately triangulate your position, send police right away to where it is. And that's kind of scary because like they could fuck something up, they could do something incorrectly, someone could just put something out there that's wrong.
That's the other thing. I mean, like, the implications of like just the tech that this, you know, has are just like just the fact that like what you could do if it's in the wrong hands, or if it like grows to a point where, you know, it's easily accessible and it's just like unanimous and you know, and everyone has it, or ubiquitous. What is the word I'm looking for? Like
used a lot, ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous. If it's just like everywhere, if everyone has it just like on their phones, you're right. Like it is nice that they let you opt in, that they're like, here's the thing. Do you want to track?
Right. At least that's it's not an automatic with an opt out.
Right. Because I could see how they very easily could just be like, oh, this is for the greater good. You know, like they could skew it in their minds to be like, oh, well, like everyone's like, who wouldn't want this? And then just automatically in like an app update, just like, here it is. Because like that just happened before.
Absolutely. I think like the interesting thing, like I actually kind of really want to talk to Sarah about this, our good friend Sarah, just because she works in like cybersecurity and like information stuff, just because I'd like to see what like an actual professional thinks about that.
Yeah, I know.
Super fucked up, and like where that could go is terrifying. So maybe we didn't end it on a high note here, but damn, that's holy shit. Crazy. Hopefully this episode has given y'all a lot to think about. And, you know, go out there, put some fucking positive energy into the world. Try to do some good. Don't try to steal people's information. Don't try to get people killed.
Yeah. Draw some pictures of bunnies, butterflies, text your friends a heart emoji, do something.
Go get a coloring book, you know, take some pictures of your cats, put them on the internet. Who knows?
Exactly. Like do some wholesome shit. Do some wholesome shit this week. We'd love you to do that.
Everybody be kind. In fact, give
us a 5-star review.
Give us a 5-star review. Leave us some positive comments. Send us pictures of your animals.
Oh, please.
Maybe that'd be tight. That's my cat Butter.
Butter.
So you know that's the way the fucking cookie crumbles. The world isn't a great place, but it has a lot of great pockets in it, and I think we need to make those pockets a little bigger, a little deeper. And that's what we here at the Lunchtime Serenade are trying to do for all of you. So thank you all for sitting through this fucking heavy ass episode.
Heavy.
And
2-ton dinger.
Yeah, what a good 13th episode this was.
Yeah, exactly.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
It's Tuesday, but hey, I turned 25 on Friday, so I'm gonna enjoy this week, and we'll probably talk about that next week on next week's episode.
Yes.
So thank you all for being here and letting us keep you occupied for like an hour a day. This has been episode 13 of the Lunchtime Serenade podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Nick.
And thank you for hanging out with us today.
Love you guys.